So let's talk about Tesla's latest full self-driving software. We're looking at what seems to be a major technological leap forward. But what's really fascinating here is the huge split it's creating between the engineering reality and what Wall Street thinks the company is actually worth. It's a really interesting disconnect, so let's get into it.
And to kick things off, you've got this pretty wild quote from Elon Musk. He described the new FSD as feeling almost like a sentient being. Now, that's a bold claim for sure, but it really sets the stage for how big of a deal Tesla thinks this new update is.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack that whole sentient car idea. Then, we'll dive into the tech behind a massive 20% leap in reaction time. After that, we'll get into the hardware divide that's creating a tale of two Teslas. We'll look at what's coming next, and finally, we'll tackle that huge disconnect with Wall Street. Okay, first up, a sentient car. Let's dig into what FSD version 14.3 is actually promising. People are calling it the most significant FSD release in a long time. So is this all just hype, or is there something real here? Well, one thing's for sure, this is not just some minor patch. Version 14.3, which is hitting cars right now, is a total foundational rebuild of the entire system. Think of it less like repainting your house and more like tearing it down to the studs and pouring a brand new, high-tech foundation. So what does this new foundation actually get you? Well, that brings us to the core of the whole update, the 20% reaction time leap. This is the engineering breakthrough that really makes this version a potential game changer. The secret sauce behind all of this is something called MLIR. Now, that sounds super technical, but just think of it as a complete rewrite of the AI's core language, the actual code that its brain runs on. It was designed from the ground up for one thing and one thing only: absolute maximum speed and efficiency. And here's the results. This new foundation means the car literally thinks and reacts 20% faster. So if it took 100 milliseconds to see and process something before, it now only takes 80. At highway speeds, that 20 millisecond difference could mean reacting several feet earlier to avoid a hazard. That is a huge leap in safety. And this faster thinking isn't just an abstract number, right? It translates into real-world improvements all over the place. The vision system works better in fog or low light. The car is way smarter at tricky intersections, and it's much more decisive when it parks. And crucially, it's also better at spotting things like small animals or seeing emergency vehicles, which is obviously a big deal. You don't have to be an engineer to notice this stuff. This quote from just a regular driver really nails it. They felt the difference right away: the confidence, the smoothness. That human-like feeling they're talking about, that comes directly from that 20% faster brain. It's a change you can actually feel from the passenger seat. But, and this is a big but, here's where the story gets a little complicated. This revolutionary new software, it doesn't work on every single Tesla. And that brings us to our next section: a tale of two Teslas, and this growing hardware divide that's affecting millions of owners. So this chart kind of lays out the whole problem. The newer hardware 4 cars have cameras with way more resolution. We're talking 5 times more, and 3 to 5 times the raw computing power. But the critical piece is the memory. They have enough video memory for what's called a temporal buffer, which is basically the car's short-term memory of what it just saw. The older hardware 3 cars, they just don't have the horsepower. So what's the plan for the millions of cars with that older hardware? Well, it's a clever compromise called V14 Lite. Engineers are using some smart tricks, like trimming down the neural network and cutting its memory window from 10 seconds down to about 3 to 5. It's still going to be a huge improvement for those drivers, but it's just not going to be the full top-tier experience. And this timeline really shows you the impact of that divide. If you have a newer hardware 4 car, you're getting the full, groundbreaking FSD V14.3 right now. But if you're in the majority of the fleet with hardware 3, you're looking at a months-long wait for that Lite version, which is slated for sometime mid-year. Okay, so now that Tesla has this super powerful MLIR foundation in place, what can they actually build on top of it? Let's move on and take a look at what this new technology is going to unlock next. This faster architecture isn't just about making the current system better. It opens the door for brand new features. We're hearing about things like pothole avoidance, which is great for safety and, your tires. But even cooler is this idea of full behavior reasoning. That's where the AI starts to understand the why behind driving, not just blindly following a route. And on top of that, expect to see smarter driver monitoring with better eye tracking. So the tech is just rocketing forward. It's incredible. But now let's zoom out for our last section and talk about the Wall Street disconnect. Because while Tesla's AI team is celebrating this huge breakthrough, the financial world seems to be looking at a completely different company. To really get this disconnect, you have to see this number. And this was before the new update. With the previous version, 14.1, the average distance the car could drive before a human had to intervene jumped from around 440 miles to over 9,200 miles. That is a 20-fold improvement in reliability. Just staggering. And yet, here's what Wall Street is focused on. After Tesla missed its vehicle delivery numbers in the first quarter, the reaction was swift and negative. Goldman Sachs, Truist, they cut their price targets. And JP Morgan just doubled down on their sell rating. They're not looking at the AI progress. They're looking at traditional, old-school car manufacturing numbers.
And that really brings us to the final critical question here. You've got one side looking at a 20x improvement in driving performance and a 20% faster AI brain, and you've got the other side looking at a quarterly delivery number. This fundamental disagreement over what Tesla is it a car company that does some tech, or is it an AI company that just happens to make cars? That's the heart of the entire debate. And how you answer that question? Well, it changes everything.